see about making a fucking video for functional BJJ. Well, don't judge me. Letting go of winning and losing / running experiments when you train. There's a million times that I'm training with beginners, and while I'm training, they do this weird thing, right? Where they like, as we're rolling, one, they try too fucking hard. They're just going apeshit bananas. They want to puke after 2 minutes. They're fucking squeezing so hard they can't breathe. Their fucking arms are shaking, like they're going nuts. No idea what they're doing. No skill as of yet, but they're just trying. Like it's crazy. Like if you go, hey man, what are you trying to do right now? Like they're flexing as hard as they can, and you're like, what are you trying to do right now? And they go, I don't know. And you're like, well, if you don't even know what the fuck you're doing, how can you possibly be trying so hard? But yeah, anyway, distraction. Okay. They try way too hard, they're going bananas, and they're just lost, right? And this weird thing will happen where I go, they'll do something, they'll put their hand on you. We'll just use guard, for example. They'll put their hand on your chest in the guard, and you armbar them. And from that, they go, okay, well, I'm never gonna put my hand on the chest again. And they've learned not to put their hand on your chest, which increases their success ratio at that moment, and so they feel like they're doing a good thing because they got tapped and now they're not getting tapped, and he's not getting tapped like that. But it's two problems, right? One, you're judging things based on the success ratio, and in the beginning, that's not good. I mean, when you're training, unless you're prepping for a fucking competition and you're training specific tactics and strategies for a competition, and you're trying to make some of those tactics reflexive on purpose, which is a whole different fucking topic that we can get into in another video. Like, you're trying to make certain things cognitive and certain things reflexive. It's cool. That's when you start worrying about winning and losing and success ratios. But dude, if that's not the cycle you're in, if either you're not that good, or you're not competing, or you're not at that cycle of competition prep, then you shouldn't be thinking like that. You know what I mean? So what happens is people put their hand on the chest, you armbar them, they go, fuck, never do that again. And then it does two things. One, it stunts their learning of the guard, because they don't understand what happened or why. They don't understand what happened or why, so they didn't gain any knowledge of jiu-jitsu by getting tapped. And they're not going to get tapped like that again, because they're going to avoid everything that resembles that situation. So they lose the opportunity to learn about what happened because they avoided the thing. And then it encourages them to run this diagnostic in their head of success ratios. Everything is still based on success ratios. You do and you do not do things because of the result they get. You know, if it lets you win, it's bad. And if it lets me not lose, it's good. It's like there's this fucking seesaw, and they judge everything by which way the seesaw tips, which is, it's fine. It's not the end of the world. You'll eventually learn jiu-jitsu like that. I was like that in the fucking beginning. That's how I know it's fucked up and it wastes so much time, is because I was like that. But everybody's like that. Like it's just a waste of time. If you could figure out how to think properly ahead of time, you could make so much more fucking progress instead of doing what everybody does, which is groping around in this wrong mindset for years on end until you finally go, oh, and then start doing it the way I'm about to describe it, right? The idea is this: when you're rolling, what's your number one goal? Everybody will say it. Everybody will say it. I learned jiu-jitsu. I'm not worried about winning. I don't care about beating my partner. I'm there to get better. I'm there to learn jiu-jitsu. Great. But then they're failing to think like a scientist, you know what I mean? Like, if you're there to learn, you're there to run experiments and figure shit out and see what happens, you know? So like when you put your hand on somebody's chest and they armbar you, your first thought shouldn't be, fuck man, I'm never putting my arm there again. Your first thought should be, what happened? What was that? Like, that bad fucking, not Zoolander, I don't know, I don't remember the movie, but I think it was a Ben Stiller movie, where the dude's like got martial arts and he's flexible, and it's like he's standing there and like a foot comes up and starts, do you know what I mean? Or like I want to say it was a Rush Hour movie or something, where he's standing there talking shit, bam, and somebody whacks him, he's like, who kicked me? Which one of y'all kicked me? Because it was like so fast. It's like that. Like, you put your hand on them and something happens and they get tapped. And I can even ask people, I'm like, what happened? I don't know. My arm got armbarred. Okay. What was he holding your arm with? Was he holding your arm with his leg, his hip, his foot, his grip? Was he holding your sleeve? Was he holding your wrist? Was he holding your elbow? Like, what was that, right? So imagine, like, you watch a scene in a movie and it's this action scene, it happens really quick, and the first time it flashes past the screen, you go, you couldn't give an accurate description of what happened when. You'd have to rewind it and watch it again. Now, obviously, if you could watch it in slow-mo, that'd be wicked cool, but you can't, right? So it's like you'd have to rewind it, watch it again, and you'd pick up one or two things, and then you go, still not accurate. Rewind it, watch it again. Rewind it, watch it again. Rewind it, watch this part. Pay real attention to this part, and then play it again. And then once you've got that part solid, then we're going to watch the next 2 seconds of the 10-second clip or whatever, right? But you would rewind and watch, rewind and watch, rewind and watch until you're like, I know exactly how it's going to play out, right? Like you understand and can observe. You've used observation to figure out how the thing transpires. Awesome. What does that mean in jiu-jitsu? You put your hand on the thing and they armbar you and you go, okay, fuck, my arm got bent, but what was it? Like, what the fuck happened? And then you put your hand there again, and they do it again. You know what I mean? And you go, oh, okay, I see. All right, well, wow, you're using your foot. I never would have thought that you were using your foot. Or, oh, you know what? You're moving your hip over. And I'm like, okay, cool. I get to see everything. You can learn a lot about the technique by watching it occur, and you figure it out. Okay, first thing you figure out is what the fuck is it? What is it? By being able to see it repeatedly over and over and over again, you also learn something else. You learn that it is replicable. That you putting your hand there isn't just, oh, when I put my hand here, it happens. If when I put my hand there, it happens, I'm causing it to happen by putting my hand there. And if I know everything that's gonna happen as it happens, when I put my hand here, you are likely to go A, B, C. Great. Now I can understand, all right, I put my hand there, I'm safe until I see A start to happen. Or whatever, right? Like, but you learn not only what it is, but you also learn how to cause and eventually manipulate the person's reaction based on what you're doing. So once you get a firm understanding of that, then you start running experiments, man. You go like this, turn your hand to this way, does it still happen? Turn my hand this way, does it still happen? Make a fist, edge of my hand, move my hand 1 inch this way, move my hand 2 inches this way, right? So okay, this, when I put my hand like this here, in this way, ABC happens, and that's replicable on this guy, no problem. What if I put my hand like this? Then what happens? Does he do the same thing? If he does the same thing, does he make adjustments? Does he do something totally different? You know? And then does he do something totally different? And if it's different, what is it? The same observational skills. And now I start to learn if this line of ABC happens, if I turn my hand like this, then whatever, XYZ happens. And it's predictable. Cool, no problem. So then what I can see is if this guy starts going ABC, like he's gonna attack my arm ABC, all I've got to do now is turn my hand this much. And he won't be able to do ABC. He'll have to switch to XYZ. And if he knows that, that's cool, but like I'm a step ahead of the game and I can have defenses or maneuvers or whatever kind of lying in wait for him when he switches, and I know he's gonna switch, and I know that he's gonna switch right about now because I'm the one that set the thing in motion. So it's like, that's getting into high-level jiu-jitsu, but it's starting to just understand. The idea is trying to understand what you're doing what is the cause and effect relationship between what you're doing and what they're doing, right? So first, get a full understanding of what actually fucking occurs when you do this. Then once you've got a full understanding of this is what occurs when I do this to Larry, this is what happens. What happens when I turn my hand like this? What happens when I turn my hand like that? You run experiments and you get a full understanding of how what you do affects what Larry does. Awesome. Then you've got to run more experiments. You've got to go, okay, is that specifically Larry? Or is that everyone? Right? Because some things are basic human reactions and some things are stylistic reactions, right? For example, when you push somebody and they lose their balance, there's this kind of myoclonic jerk that, like, whoa, you expand your arms, stick your arms out, right? When people fall, unless they've been trained, they tend to stick their hand out and catch their fall. All right, well, if somebody's been highly trained, they don't stick their arms out to catch their fall, they do a break fall. So you can make kind of a rough prediction as to whether somebody's going to put their hand on the ground when they fall, or if they're going to put their side on the ground and slap when they fall, based on the level of training that you perceive them to have. You can also get an indication of level of training by watching the reaction. You knock somebody over, they stick their hand out and they fucking land on their palm like an idiot. You go, all right, I now have a sign that gives me an idea of how much training you might have. You do a proper break fall, I go, all right, okay. Like you not only can make predictions based on what they might do, they give you tells based on what they just did as to what they may do in the future. If you have all that information about highly skilled people tend to react like this, non-skilled people tend to react like this. Excellent. So then you go, okay, is this a natural human reaction or is this a trained reaction? And it can fall into one of those two categories. No problem. What does that tell you when you're rolling? If the guy's good, I know when I put my hand here, ABC likely to happen. My hand, my signal, my feed, same. But this guy's bad, so it's going to not be ABC, it's going to be XYZ. And so I can start to make predictions based on what that person's going to do. So you have natural human movement or reactions, and then you have trained reactions. Once you get into trained reactions, now we got to talk about different schools of thought. Because dudes that have wrestled their whole lives have a different trained response than dudes that do flippy, wormy, octopus fucking bullshit jiu-jitsu. Those guys have a different reaction than a person that does fucking 10th Planet. Those people have a different reaction than the people that do fucking old school, classic kind of jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? So then what you got to do is go, okay, cool. Let me run these experiments. On this style of fighter, this works. On this style of, not this works, this is what will happen. On this style of fighter, this is what will happen. And you can make generalizations inside those things, like long-legged dudes that wrestle tend to do this. Short-legged dudes that wrestle tend to do this. You can get crazy with your information gathering if you really want to, man. Each of those sports, people break that shit down. Like dudes from Ohio tend to have this type of style. You know what I mean? Like wrestling. Dudes from this Thai boxing gym tend to have this style of punching and kicking. That's a stylistic response. Thai boxing, like striking / Thai boxing / whatever gym. You know what I mean? So you can get crazy with your data gathering. But that's the point, is when you're rolling, you shouldn't be thinking about winning and losing. You should be thinking about running fucking experiments. Because if you today just hide from your partner and do nothing, like I just don't try anything, and anytime I put my hand somewhere, if he moves, I go, and I rip my hand out, and I just fucking hide from the dude, you're gonna tip the seesaw. You're gonna help your seesaw. Like your success ratio seesaw is gonna be improved. And you're gonna get to the end of that day and know absolutely nothing more about jiu-jitsu than you did walking onto the mat. Like absolutely nothing. And you're gonna dig yourself deeper into the importance of that seesaw of success ratio. And it's not fucking important at all. The only time it matters is if you're gonna die when you lose. On that day, you know, you open the door to your house and some guy's trying to cut your kid's head off with a box cutter, and you go, motherfucker, and then you guys scrap. On that day, it matters. And every other day, it fucking doesn't matter. In the least, it doesn't matter at all. You know? At all. It doesn't matter. Fuck. But then you dig yourself deeper into that thinking it does matter, and it fucking doesn't. So it's a really bad habit. But if you can get in your head, make in your mind, when I roll with somebody, I'm running experiments. I'm gonna try to see, when I do A, what do you do? And is that a natural human movement or is that a trained reaction? If that's a trained reaction, what body style are you? What school of thought are you? And how can I start to process all that shit in my head and therefore make accurate predictions about what will or will not occur with this guy in the future? And then that's where you start getting into fucking badass jiu-jitsu. But it also makes it where you don't go so fucking, not go so hard, because you are going to go hard, but because during that experiment you're going to have to think, what happens if I tighten up right here? What happens if I flex right here? What happens if I push right here? What happens if I rip my arm right here? So it's not like I'm saying you're going to flop around and just let somebody run a fucking chain on you and do nothing. In your experimentation, you're going to put out effort in certain spots to try to see, how does my effort affect this equation 100%? But there's a difference between making a planned, all right, I know he's going to throw his leg over my head in 3, 2, 1, and I'm going to make a really hard push at this moment. 3, 2, 1, really hard push, tap, 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 didn't do shit, write that down. Okay, now I know he's going to throw the leg over my head in 3, 2, 1, I'm going to make a really hard pull. So 3, 2, 1, rip. Oh man, look at that, I got my arm out. Oh, but I got triangle. Okay, observation, save the arm, risk the neck, got it, and you run more experiments. So it's not like I'm saying you're not going to try. You're going to fight, you're going to try, because fighting is part of experimenting. But that's different than just squeezing every fiber in your body with no plan and no goal and no observation. And when I ask you, how'd you get your arm out? You go, I fucking don't know. And when I ask you, how'd he keep your arm in? You go, I fucking don't know. And it's just a fucking car wreck. And you're just lost and struggling with no purpose and no direction. And you get nothing from it because you don't make any observational learning. So, yeah, knock it off. If you're younger in the sport and you're newer to jiu-jitsu, change your brain. When you step on the mat, when you're in class, you're learning about things. Somebody's giving you that information. That's like watching the videotape on slow-mo or watching video of somebody doing a fight and slowing it down, and you learn from third-person observation like that. But when you roll, stop thinking about winning and losing, especially in the beginning. Stop thinking about winning and losing. Start thinking about running experiments. You're an applied scientist. It's not theoretical science, and it's not combat at this point. It's science. You're trying to learn jiu-jitsu. You're trying to master jiu-jitsu. So make it more of a deep practice and go through and run experiments and collect data. And then when you have collected data, you have tools in your toolbox. You have knowledge and understanding, and you can make accurate predictions about what will or will not occur based on who that opponent is and what your choices are, right? Once you have that, then you start playing with success rates. But if you don't even know all the variables in an experiment, you can't tinker with the experiment to try to affect outcome. You're just like a scientist just randomly pouring in fucking shit, no controls. You don't just, I don't know, see what happens. And then when something amazing happens, somebody goes, how'd you do that? And you go, fuck, I don't know, I never wrote down what I put in the experiment. That's no good. So stop fighting, experiment, become a scientist on the mat, get rid of your fucking ego, stop trying to protect your ego, and experiment, run experiments. And then it'll pay off later. And when it matters, dude, when it's the day it fucking matters, then you bring out all the today I kill you and everything matters, every inch matters, give up nothing, take everything, right? But man, that ain't Wednesday night at the gym. Run experiments. Like, that's it.